ensuring optimal resource utilization, Chair.
Very well, Auditor, your comments on the response?
We verified the documents provided, they are annexures, and one of the items that we need to note is the title deed that was presented. We got a copy of the same, of that title deed, and according to us, this title deed is in the ministry, is in the name of the National Treasury, and has not been transferred in the, to the hospital. In addition, Chair, if we were to go to the details of the note, you'd realize that there are buildings, and these buildings and the land, they have not been incorporated as part of the assets of the hospital. Thank you, Chair.
Very well. Governor, your response has not captured what he has said about transfer from Treasury to your county.
Thank you, Chair. I think it is a national issue, Chair, on transfer of assets, and I want to note that every government land, of majority of our, except those ones that we used to have under the county councils, all majority of the lands in our counties are actually held by the National Treasury, and we still following up with the IGTRC on transfer, and we have already started. They have already transferred to us the movable assets, the vehicles. We have already gotten the titles for those ones, and the next process was to be land. So therefore, it's a national process that we are following in as entire COG, so that we ensure all this, including this one, Chair, so that we can be able to have all the county property land to be under the county government.
Chair, can I ask the governor to share specific plans that you have to ensure that there is that transfer? Because you have given a general answer and involving other counties and the national issues. Kindly share with us specific plans.
Chair, I want to confirm that as a county, we have been following this. And therefore, that is why we have gotten the first transfers of movable assets. And I want to confirm to our honorable member that I'm going to again do a follow-up letter to the IGTRC and ensure that specifically Elgeyo Marakwet County is prioritized in this process.
Yeah, but Governor, on the issue of IGRTC, this committee is concerned about IGRTC because we have on many occasions tasked IGRTC with the issue of transfer of assets, and they have done very little, especially on property and lands. And even the movable assets that you are referring to, we are aware they transferred very old vehicles, very old motorcycles, which are not even
only the condemned ones.
Yeah, the condemned ones. But the real property, the real assets have not been transferred. And I think as a Council of Governors, you need to find a better strategy around the issue of transfer of assets, because IGRTC is proving to be toothless on this matter. Either engage us as a Senate to deal with the matter, or engage the matter in your IBEC or your summit, because this matter will continue appearing in your books for many years to come. And it's a simple matter that can be dealt with. Yes, Senator.
Maybe as okay, as you have mentioned IPEC and the summit, maybe they can have a conversation from that end. But also, Chair, as a committee, you remember there are things that we have resolved in this committee taken to the House, and the House can speak to it and make a resolution. So, and then it becomes basically like law. So I'm thinking maybe this is something that we can do as a House, because it is not Elgeyo Marakwet County alone. You've also seen earlier, Chair, when we go to the water companies, they still have, there's some property that is held by maybe like Victoria North or others. So maybe we need to come up with a motion, Chair, that we resolve and we give.
I think we are going to give a very strong recommendation on adhering to asset management standards in this hospital, because if you don't do asset management, then you find a situation where you will even lose your equipment. Pilferage of equipment will happen. So I think this one is a governance issue which must handled. And then the issue of transfer of assets, as you rightly say, Senator Kisang, I think this committee is going to also take it up, because IGRTC has not done anything as far as transfer of assets is concerned. So, honorable members, let's move to the query on non-compliance with the Kenya Quality Model for Health Policy Guidelines. And as we said in our pre-meeting, this query is related to the query number 5, which is unutilized managed equipment services. Auditor?
The issue is non-compliance with Kenya Quality Model for Health Policy Guidelines, review of the hospital records and verification of services offered, equipment used, and medical specialists at the hospital at the time of audit in the month of November 2024 revealed that the hospital did not meet the requirements of Kenya Quality Model for Health Policy Guidelines as detailed below. We have the staff's requirements, then we have the standard for level 5 standard, and then we also have the number in hospital, then we have the variance, and then the percentage. For instance, the first one is on medical officers, where we had the standard is 50, the hospital had 9, and the variance here is 41, therefore there was a shortfall of 82. Overall, the total percentage of the variance is 67 for staffs. In addition, the hospital lacked the necessary equipment and machines outlined in the health policy guidance as detailed below. The first one is on beds, whereby we had a variance of 30%. And then we also had another one, resuscitative, second in labor and one in labor, which was a negative 233%. Cumulatively, we had a total percentage of 25%. These deficiencies contravene the first schedule of the Health Act 2017 and imply that they are accessing the highest attainable standard of health, which includes the right to health care services, including reproductive health care as required by Article 43, Sub-Article 1 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, may not be achieved. Further, the contravention of the Kenya Quality Model for Health Policy Guidance hindered the realization of the government program on universal health coverage, UHC. In the circumstances, the hospital may not be able to deliver on its mandate. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Governor. Your management response.
Thank you, Chair. We will respond as follows. To address the non-compliance, Chair, with the Kenya Quality Model for Health Policy Guidelines and challenges in implementing universal health coverage at the hospital, the management has developed a set of actions to tackle the identified gaps. Chair, you can easily see that we have some gaps. The first gap is staff deficits. It's true that the hospital has not met the required Kenya Quality Model for Health Policy Guidelines due to constrained county budget. To address the issue, Chair, of insufficient medical specialists and other medical staff, the hospital has formally submitted a request to the County Public Service Board through the County Department of Health to recruit additional personnel on contract so as to address these shortages. These are short-term measures as we seek for a long-term solution, Chair. The letter can be seen in Annex 4. Moreover, 3 medical officers have been released for specialist training in critical care, anesthesiology, general surgery, and pediatrics, which will help to alleviate the specialist shortage after the training, if you can see in Annex 4B. Chair, also outside this, just last week, because this was after this response, we have adopted a new policy at the hospital, and we have passed in cabinet the county to start to plug this deficit by using something called locum. For example, Chair, sometimes, for example, we don't have a doctor, an ENT specialist. And what we are doing currently is that when we have those cases, specific cases that we don't have, we actually bring in a doctor temporarily. It's cheaper, it's more affordable. At the same time, it's efficient, so that on need basis, we can have a panel of doctors from other areas to plug in. And when we have such a specialist case, we can be able to bring them to do. Luckily, we have enough theaters in the hospital, and we can be able to do it. That is just off the cuff, but we have the policy passed last week, and we likely to implement immediately. Secondly, on equipment, Chair, and infrastructure deficits, to address the shortage of critical infrastructure and equipment such as the ICU and HDU beds and theatre, the management is actively engaging the County Assembly through the Equitable Development Act to finance these infrastructural deficiencies and procure the necessary medical equipment to meet the level 5 standards. Chair, you are aware that in 2014, my county is one of the first counties to adopt the Equitable Development Act, where all the monies that we receive go to the ward level. Therefore, a county referral hospital suffers because every ward will only prioritize their own ward facilities. Therefore, it's very difficult for us to actually go and detach money from the ward level because of competing interests at the ward level. So we are trying to see how we can be able to do this so that the level 5 hospital gets some money. Additionally, a more robust maintenance and repair schedule in Annex 4C is also being implemented to maximize the functionality of existing equipment. And through FIF, the facility has renovated and equipped 2 more theaters to make the total to 3 functional. The hospital is also collaborating with donors and development partners to secure funding and donations for essential medical equipment. We have successfully conducted also medical camps from doctors from outside, especially operational side at Annex 4D. So, Chair, finally, on equipment, we also have a new program that is coming. We call it the NEST program, which is going to give the hospital an additional equipment, and we have signed for that program as Elgeyo Marakwet County, so that we are alleviated now that we don't have the funding that we will be able to support us on this.
Auditor, your comment on the response.
We verified photos of the theaters and the employment process of the 89 cashiers, as mentioned, and the balls that were issued to the training staff. We also verified the personnel and equipment. We were not able to verify the equipment percentages that were provided from the theater. Our concern is the employment gap as stated by the auditee. We have 89 who are employed on casual basis, and the Employment Act is going to invoke their confirmation into permanent basis, and therefore we don't see how the hospital is going to address this issue by just employing casual employees. The other side on the other bit on the 2 theaters which have been brought on board, we were not able to verify the equipment which are in those theaters, and therefore we cannot be able to comment on the level of address of the issue of the equipment, which is at 25%, which is quite true.
Okay, I think there are issues, Governor. First of all, the issues of staff, because if you have casual staff, and especially casual staff who are medical staff, how do you sustain them? Because casuals are supposed to work for a maximum of 3 months, and these are maybe doctors or nurses. How do you sustain them? And how long have these staff been there as casuals?
Chair, currently we are transiting them to contracts so that it has a longer period. But Chair, the reason why you are seeing this challenge in Elgeyo Marakwet is we receive around 4.8 billion. The only remaining budget for development in my county is 1 billion. That means if I am even to employ an extra 100 health workers, and to employ a doctor now in Kenya, a nurse is quite high. Therefore, it will mean that the county will close completely on development and only concentrate on paying salaries. Therefore, Chair, whatever I am between a rock and a hard place, because I can't employ beyond where I am now. Because if I do, I'm going to contravene the PFM, and even with the PFM, the community at ward level, they are aware that just like CDF, my model is almost like CDF at the county, at the ward level. They are aware that they are receiving 56 million every year. So if you are to tell them we have removed all this money and used for employment, it becomes a bigger challenge. And that is why that brings us to the question of these small counties in the next maybe 2 years. Like for my county, it can't take more than 1 year or 2 years from today, especially when we confirm the UHC staff. I have 200 of them. I need almost 200 million to confirm them. Then I will be in contravention, and probably in 2-3 years, Elgeyo Marakwet should actually be closing shop because of that. And therefore, Senate should actually be helping us to ensure that every year there is something small, or we can do an assessment of counties in terms of staffing, so that anytime we are allocating funds to counties, we are actually allocating, and we should not feel bad that counties are hiring, because for you to run an hospital, you have to hire a doctor. So what is in the public domain is counties are wasting money on salaries. How will you run a hospital like this if you don't have a specialist? Counties is a service delivery center. Agriculture is a service, health is a service. So this hospital may not get 100%, unfortunately, of the staff required because of this funding challenge. And we are requesting that even as we do the formula, the Senate should be able to check specifically the small counties. That is where we have the problem. And even in the next audit, Chair, I'm afraid the same audit can recur because of the funding challenge.
Senator Kisa.
Chitab kalenjin genyoru logoyat kongete studio kakitukchi yotok tetutietab Kass Mashinani komalo ketuitosi eng logoiwekab emet kongete studio kigurena Jacqueline Arusei.